There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, you gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, Agria. Munson here with the Expats Portugal Show. How are you this morning? Morning, Deagle. Morning, T-Duck. T-Duck, thank you very much for my new copy. Great to see you yesterday. Thank you for my new copy of Borda d'Agua. What's that? I hear you say. Maybe. But this is a very interesting and useful Portuguese publication. I would commend this to you if you don't know what it is. More about that later. T-Duck then, Deagle, who else is in this morning? Coach Turner is telling us. Thank you very much, Coach Turner. Video covering the last 3 days later today. Now, what he means by that is he's been sending in some very interesting, it's almost like the exercise Kama Sutra. He's been offering, suggesting some new positions in which we might like to tone, stretch, and improve ourselves. And who doesn't like to? And the videos will follow because I think they've been a little bit complicated. Maybe it's just the way my mind works. It probably is. But for anyone else whose mind works a little bit like mine and was struggling to imagine themselves contorted in such positions without causing personal injury, videos are coming. Thank you very much, Coach Turner Ian. Thank you so much for that. The slug's in as well. Good morning to you, Antonio F. Antonio, could I ask something of you? The Borda d'Agua, how do you see that as a Portuguese person, citizen? How important is this to Portuguese life and the community? I find it fascinating. I love the style of it. It's almost like the same graphics that you get on a packet of cough lozenges, isn't it? Ancient printing technology or early printing technology. Or maybe medium term, not exactly the Heidelberg press, but not exactly the cutting edge of desktop publishing either. And I like it. I'm not knocking it. I like it. I like the little frames on there and the flash of red, 2 colors. It's printed in 2 colors, and it's also, it hasn't been guillotined in quite the way that a new magazine, a pamphlet might be. It folds out. It's printed on, what would that be? A great big sheet of what's that? It's not even an A size. I don't think. I think it's an imperial printing size as well. So it's something like what, an A4, A3, maybe A2 folded down. For those of you who know those sorts of things. But Antonio F. Borda d'Agua. We can find out where the markets are, can't we? We can see the phases of the moon. It has astronomical data, and I don't mean your energy bills in there. So please let us know, Antonio F., what you think about that. I'd love your perspective on that. And we will get more Portuguese perspectives tonight. Absolutely wonderful webinar lined up for you this evening, where we have an invited panel. Some of the names you see here, João F, is, if you want to see João F in the way that you've never seen him before, and I don't mean naked, although with the right level of requests, he might bend and stretch to that. Who knows? But we'll be talking to João F informally tonight, as we have a panel which will also include Anna. Cascais, Anna. Talking of Cascais, we've got Wiley in, talking about her beloved town. Cascais Calling this morning, and talking more generally about Portuguese property and real estate with Wiley from Cascais. But Anna from Cascais, João F. will be joining in this evening to let us know what real Portuguese people think, authentic, real Portuguese people think about us migrants, foreigners, immigrants coming to Portugal. And it's a chance for you to ask them questions as well. I am appreciating this concept and the context tonight of being able to ask those questions of, let's step out of echo chambers and our own little bubbles. And tonight we'll talk to some of our best Portuguese friends and we'll ask questions of them as well. So we're really looking forward to that this evening. And this morning, Antonio, if you wouldn't mind letting us know about the cultural significance of the Borda d'Agua, which was the first time it was presented to me a few years back. earlier on in my journey here in Portugal, was when I was trying to find out where the markets were being held around the country. Border d'Agua, somebody told me. And I think there's more to it than that as well. So we've got some Mark Twain quotery this morning. Stephen Wells is in, Ubi. Hello, Ubi. Jess too. And Connie's in as well. Shh. Hank's still asleep. And Anna, finally found you. Yeah, sorry if I was a bit late this morning. I was just... Can't find you. Can't find you on YouTube or Facebook. I think we've sorted that out now, haven't we, Anna? Yeah, finally found you. We'll relocate from an autumn like Stockholm to Villarreal Sant'Antonio in 1.5 weeks. I think you might be looking forward to that. And Brian Taylor, where you been, Brian? Sorry, I've been missing for a while. Been on holiday. A staycation. All right, that's cool. Glad to hear you're okay. I hope you're feeling well. I hope that ankle is healing and all well and good for you now, Brian. And that you had a nice staycation, of course. Don't worry about postcards. It's a hassle, isn't it? The fact you compared it straight to the Kama Sutra tells us a little bit about your mind. Well, what would you have compared it to, Stephen? I wonder. Okay, come back to your lovely comments and possibly questions and certainly suggestions, I suspect, in a little while. Just want to tell you a few of the things that we might look at today. Some of these things we can wait for Wiley, can't we, before we talk about them. For example, how rents may rise, expected to rise 5.43% next year. The value of rents, according to the Portugal News, value of rents expected to rise to not expected to rise to, but expected to increase by, of course, 5.43% in 2023. A lot of forward thinking now, isn't there? Border d'Agua 2023 just been announced. Thank you, T-Duck. And these rent rises predicted for 2023, 5.43% after having risen 0.43% this year. The cost of living crisis. I really don't like calling it that. I've got a different perspective and view on it, which I'm sure doesn't surprise you. But anyway, we'll use that as the working title. Rising prices, certainly, and challenging conditions. Rents expected to rise to 5.43%. We'll come back to that. I think, T-Duck, you might have drawn my attention to this in conversation. Another Portugal News headline, 25% of landlords are not being paid rent. About 25% of property owners had rent arrears in the first half of this year, which will be 2022, of course, just in case you didn't know. And my goodness, if you have been asleep for a few years and have just woken up into 2022, what is it like? Like nothing you could have possibly imagined, I suspect. So in the first half of 2022, about 25% of property owners, this is pretty staggering, had rent arrears from their tenants, of which 28% correspond to defaults of more than 6 months, according to a barometer, metaphorically, I suspect. I don't imagine there's a Mercury-based barometer at the headquarters of the Lisbon Owners Association, the ALP. And that'll be a small sample. I don't know if that would be scaled up across the country, I wonder. But that's focusing on the Lisbon Owners Association, the ALP. Breach of contract remains a scourge. And one of those words that you don't often see, except in news reporting. Breach of contract remains a scourge of the national rental market in the first 6 months of 2022. 1 in 4 respondents in the 5th edition of the ALP barometer, 24.4%, has rent arrears, concluded the ALP study. Among those who have rent arrears, a third of the defaults reach up to 3 months of rent arrears, but a significant portion of 28% of respondents of that 25% have more than half a year of rent yet to be received. Even so, final paragraph on this, and an interesting one too. Even so, the association pointed out more than half of landlords with defaulting tenants, 54.4%, admitted that they will not go to court or instruct evictions. And that's a kind of nice ending in a way, isn't it? Clearly, some people are struggling, and those landlords do not intend to take their tenants to court or evict them. Now, that might be because the legal system is too expensive, or, I mean, there may be all sorts of reasons for that. But I suppose the main thing is that people will keep a roof over their heads. And the most important thing, of course, that we can afford people that dignity. Okay, Deagle's saying then, bon dia, Carl and Gumpers. What, I mean, tell me what you think about that. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a lovely Belfast, chilly overnight, 8%. Okay, I've just turned the weather from degrees into percentages. How's that going to work? I don't know. We'll have a look at the weather. We'll do more of that later. 8 degrees, but it should climb to 18. Blue skies, away for a swim, slow time, not distance. 2 hours booked. 2 hours of swimming. He's going to get in the zone there, in the aqua zone in the pool. Ducks in a row for T-Duck then. Well done. Thank you very much. Great to see you yesterday. Great job yesterday, T-Duck. Thank you so much. And guess what? I'm going to Portugal next month. That's not me. That's Deagle. Looking forward to it because it is, of course, the 1st of September. Where did August go, everybody? Has anyone seen August? Could you put it back, please? Back where it was. It seems to have disappeared. Going to Portugal then in October. It is September, in case you didn't know, in case you're living the rather lovely and luxurious and leisurely expat life where you don't care what day it is, let alone what date it is or month or year for that matter. I can just give you a quick reality check. It's the 1st of September, 2022. Well done. You made it this far. I'm going out for tea right now. And come to a meetup next month, says T-Duck as well. It's a very nice invitation. Bom dia, alegria, gumpers from T-Duck. And setembro chegou, setembro molhado, figo estragado. September has arrived, wet September, spoiled fig. That, I would suspect, is a Portuguese saying, although we weren't warned about that, were we? But that beautifully, we have it in a poem, in a British poem, the season of mists and mellow fruitfulness. This may well be the Portuguese equivalent, mightn't it? With its figo estragado, it's the month of the spoiled fig. Eat them. Thank you, Phil and Maria, for your grapes and figs that you gave us yesterday. Very generous, very delicious. That sounds like Donald Trump, doesn't it? Very, very generous, very delicious. Excuse me. Setembro chego, setembro molhado, figo estragado. It even rhymes. September has arrived. Wet September. Let's see about that, shall we? Certainly a lovely wet afternoon at the beach yesterday because of the sea, not because of the rain. A lovely dip in the after school or take a dip in the pool. Take a dip. So I need to reframe that, don't I? Remember Rapper's Delight. After school, I take a dip in the pool. I need something that rhymes with bay. So the first part I'll let you come up with. So something that rhymes with bay, I take a dip in the bay. Okay, if you're with me there. Deep thought of the day, which rhymes with bay. It's hard to detect good luck. It looks so much like something you've earned. I see what Frank A. Clark did there. Very good. Thank you for the deep thought of the day. I too have seen a thought of the day that came up on social media. The wonderful Beyond Lisbon, Katia Lima, put this up as a deep thought of the day. A melon-based fruit-based thought of the day. Here we go. If there's a watermelon, have you ever thought this, T-Duck? If there's a watermelon, shouldn't there be an earth melon, a fire melon, and air melon? The elemelons. Pretty good, huh? Which that also reminds me, like Earth, Wind, and Fire there. It's the 21st day of September. It's coming up. Earth, Wind, and Fire Day we celebrate in this month as well. Okay, thank you for that, Katia. Thank you for that, T-Duck. And Portuguese saying then, any Portuguese town looks like bride's finery. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. That is beautiful, Mary McCarthy. Can we learn more about Mary McCarthy, please? But that is beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, T-Duck, this morning for some wonderful contributions. I mean, that doesn't make it any different to most mornings with your wonderful contributions, but you have excelled yourselves. He's a man of many parts, and he's excelled himself this morning. Mary McCarthy, you found that then. Portuguese town looks like a bride's finery. And who doesn't like a bride's finery first thing in the morning? Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Wow, the word blue has changed in its meaning over time, hasn't it? Remember that? When movies used to be blue? What happened? They went to the internet, I suppose, didn't they? Okay, Portuguese. So we've not even got to the Portuguese saying of the day. We're ready with this, though. For a little bit of dad jokery, Portuguese saying of the day, vida sem amigo, morte sem castigo. Life without a friend is death without punishment. Without friendship, life is nothing. Oh my word! It just gets better and better. Thunderduck, where are you? I'm not going to ask you to disclose your secrets, as we didn't yesterday. But you spilled the beans on your wonderful memory and magic trick that you shared with us at the table yesterday. Very nice. Okay, so let's do those dad jokes now, shall we? I feel a disturbance in the comedy force here. A chicken. This is very good as well. It really is. A chicken crossing the road is poultry in motion. Why did the chicken cross the road joke there, as you've never heard it? Why did the apricot ask a prune to dinner? Let's just pause for a moment as you think of the answer. Don't look at the screen. Look away now if you don't want to hear the answer. because he couldn't find a date. My goodness. You're going to have a lie down after this lot, T-Duck, this morning. Amazing contributions. Everyone laughed when I said I wanted to be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now. Excellent this morning. Excellent. Okay, God Squad tip of the day. Then let's get straight into that as well. Have we got a kind of exercise Kama Sutra situation again this morning? And actually, I want to ask you, not T-Duck, you've done enough. Take a seat for a moment. Coach Turner, more core. Okay, hashtag more core this morning. And what do you think about doing exercise naked, Coach Turner? I know you said if it hurts, stop. And it might be more a matter of it hurting other people in this instance of being naked whilst exercising. Would you recommend it? I know, the classic exercise of the naturist is beach ball, isn't it? Why on earth is the is the classic exercise of naturists beach ball, an inflatable beach ball, which they just kind of push back and forth? Is it so as not to exert? And maybe volleyball occasionally, beach volleyball, naturism and exercise. It might get more people interested. It might have people not very interested at all. It might have people running, screaming from the naturism camp. However, I wonder what your thoughts are on that. More core then, hashtag more core. There's a little core campaign this week from the Coach Turner with his growing old disgracefully tips. Gentle fitness, but bon viveurs. From the press up position. Well, hey, bring one leg forward as far as possible, placing you see, Stephen Wells, you can understand it's not just me who's thinking Kama Sutra at this point. From the press up position, it's biblical. Bring one leg forward as far as possible, placing your foot as close to your hand as you can and return. Brace yourself. Alternate. Great for core and flexibility. And there's going to be a video. I don't know. Probably with a tracksuit on. There's going to be a video. There you go. Video covering the last 3 days later today. Thank you, Coach Turner. My plea to you did not go unheard. Thank you so much for that. James is in. James a slug. Goodness only knows. I think he'll return to long name form next week. We'll see, though. He never does what he's told. He'll do what he darn well pleases. Bom dia, Gampos. Feliz quarta-feira e feliz agosto. Como está hoje? How are you doing today? James is wanting to know. And feel free at this point to answer in Portuguese. Come on. You've been learning it. You've been doing the old computer-based stuff. Answer in real life, if you will, please, to the slug with his Will Rogers quote of the day now. Lord, let me live until I die. That's not an unreasonable request, is it? I got to find out more about this Will Rogers character. And the Mark Twain quote of the day that was missed yesterday. Sorry. What's that lovely fragrance I smell? It will be Wiley at around 9 o'clock. I think it might be violets. Mark Twain didn't say that bit about Wiley. Let's start that again. Mark Twain quote of the day. It was missed yesterday. For that, I apologize. What's that lovely fragrance I smell? I think it might be violets. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. My profundity, humor, we got it all this morning, haven't we? Oh wow. Bon dia thank you very much, Mark Twain and James, and thank you for reminding me. I don't mind that. If there's anything else I've forgotten recently, pictures, videos, that sort of thing, please do not hesitate in letting me know and putting me right. You see, I didn't take it personally. Mark Twain quote missed yesterday, no problem. I'll do it today, or maybe. So yeah, if I have forgotten anything that you've said, very kindly sent in to me, then please remind me, and I'll find it and I'll show it or share it. Bon dia todos from Ubi. Where are you, Ubi? Are you back in the USA? And Jess is here as well. Hola todos there. Thank you very much, Jess and Connie. Hi, Carl and Gumpers. Good morning to you, Connie. How you doing? And great to see that you have connected. Have you been missing us, Anna? And I believe Burdagua, thank you very much, Antonio, for responding to this, is more used by people who have a very small plot of land, have a small garden. It is the homesteader's Bible, then, perhaps, Burdagua. So, yeah, I think it does. It summons up. It is the quintessential publication for country and rural life. And I urge you to get your own copy. Thank you, T-Duck, for blessing me with this one. €3. IVA included in that in that very modest and excellent price. It was stacked full of information. Let me just give you a little bit more of an idea of what it's about, because it says it is para 2023 for the new year. It's published now as we look forward to the new year, or now that we're in the 1st of September. We're talking about Christmas soon, you know. It's 94 years old. This publication, this esteemed publication by Editorial Minerva, and it's contendo todos os dados astronómicos e religiosos e muitas indicações úteis e interesse geral. So general information and specialist information, religious and astronomical. Love it. Thank you so much. Please get your copy. And you might have seen it. You might have seen it at your kiosk, because sometimes that's where you'll find it. Just by, it's like a point of sale thing next to the cigarettes and the cough lozenges, which obviously go together. Howdy, James from Connie. People work in the room. We love to see that. Thank you very much. And what's this? Willkommen für Norrland Volkid her at Portugal from Miguel Luis Sousa Dias. And welcome to the Nordic people here in Portugal. Well, that's a very niche welcome. We're all for it. Niche among a niche there, or a niche in a niche, as I think some Americans might say. Sort of people might say, Porto. I've found such a good niche in Porto. Welcome to the Nordic people here in Portugal. Then what brought that on? And also, look at this, inclusive as ever. Miguel Luis Sousa Dias, good morning to you, and thank you for welcoming the Nordic people and everybody else this morning. I am Portuguese, and any questions you have, I'm here to help. Look at this. Okay, so what's your take on Borda d'Água as well then, Miguel Luis Sousa Dias, if you don't mind? And I can also translate in Portuguese and English to some degree if it is useful. Of course it's useful. And bom dia, o dia em Bragança está maravilhoso. So a lovely day in Bragança. That's fantastic. Good day, Carl. The day in Bragança is wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. What is this? Okay, the Targol Furatanian is here. Get lost with Golly Tours. Will guide you through the course of your migration life. I think that's a bit like the slug, isn't it? That's a whole Facebook name there that's coming through onto the screen. Rents are mostly rising due to the budget of foreign privileged expats. In my own case, I rent. My contract ends in December, and they won't prolong it. It's horrible. No idea how to rent anything decent with these prices. Now, this is the true human cost of what's going on, and I'm sure there is something that can be done. I don't. It's not fair to just say, "Well, that's capitalism for you, babe." I think that we are in times now where we're facing some sort of institutional breakdown, are we not? All the things that we maybe found right, true, and fair are getting a little bit of a shaking at the moment, and this will be one of them. The very roof over people's heads, and I'm really sorry to hear that, Targol Furatanian, that situation. Please, let's discuss this. Let's see what we can do to help people in this situation. It is a real situation for people. And I think it's, it's lame, is it not, to just say, well, there you go, that's your market forces for you. Sorry about that. You just need to work harder. I think people are working pretty hard. A lot of people are working very hard, aren't they? And they're not quite stretching the cloth to cover the nakedness of their actual reality, if you see what I mean. Okay, let us know. Let us know what you're thinking about this. We will talk about that, no doubt, with Wiley as well. And it is a conundrum. It is a conundrum for all of us, I think, in some way, because the results of it affect all of us, that's for sure. So thank you for speaking out, Targol. Targol F, I'm going to call you. Great to make your acquaintance. Thank you for being here. We Portuguese are very creative, so we can also create expressions on the go. Yes, I've noticed. Thought is pensamento. Miguel, you are treating us to a real medley of Portuguese contributions and input this morning. Thank you very much for being there. And there you go. We're talking about watermelons earlier on. Melancia in Portugal. Now, if you buy jelly, that's not jam for you Americans. Jelly as in wobbly jelly. Though you will see melancia. Melancia? Have I got the intonation on that right? Melancia. Melancia. I'm wondering which is right now. Now I keep saying it out loud and confusing myself. Oh, there you go. Pronounced like CIA. Putting it in language that Americans will understand. Very thoughtful, Miguel. But a kinder like a lighter than a verage. Wow, okay, that's very detailed pronunciation notes there. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you for being here this morning. And blue was the color of censorship and not red before. That's interesting, isn't it, how things change? I heard the other day that blue hasn't been a color for as long as some of the other colors have been in the human vocabulary. And the structure of the mind. Blue came about. I mean, blue was just the sky and the water, wasn't it? Before pigments and dyes became available to bring blue properly into the human conversation. Now, there's a deep thought for the day. Mary Therese McCarthy was an American novelist, critic, and political activist, best known for her novel, The Group. So there you go. Thank you, T-Duck, for that. The only way, where you been, Gilchrist, Lord Gilchrist? The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't, who doesn't love to love what they do first thing in the morning? If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. That's Steve Jobs. I've heard of him. I'll be posting telepathetically all day. If you think of something funny, that was me. His service continues. Stop exercising. You're hurting my eyes. Oh, come on. No body shaming here. I knew I shouldn't have started that. But naked exercising. Okay, thanks for the clarification on what ball were they playing. What? The one and only Slug, Miguel, a fan of yours, I think, and an hola, Miguel, right back at you. Miguel from the Slug there. Okay. What else have we got here? I've been known to do some exercises in the privacy of my own bathroom, but wouldn't submit others to suffering. This is a bit too graphic first thing in the morning, isn't it? Talking about dangling bits. Damn you, gravity. Padel e a fragrância que as violetas libertam quando são esmagadas. There you go. The fragrance of violets is a gift given to the heel that is crushing the violet there. Amazing. Thank you very much. Not the best translation, but we know what you're getting at there. And amazing, Carl. You are making vast improvements. Oh, thank you very much. That's like kind of muito bem. But Miguel hasn't heard of Borda d'Agua. Maybe don't you have it up there in Braganza? Okay. Lurch groan. Oh, Carl is doing it. What? American accent, full disclosure, it still makes me chuckle. Yeah, I hope makes everybody in Portugal chuckle, especially people in Porto. Hola, bom dia, kids! From a cloudy Portimao. Oh, you know what? Something we haven't talked about. Let's do this quickly. And some wag said, Carl, you've been found. Oh, have I shared the link? Hold on a minute. I'm not sure if I've shared the link with Wiley this morning, who will be joining us soon. But before she does, and I've only got a few seconds, I think, to do this, that skeleton of the massive dinosaur found in Portugal, skeleton of huge dinosaur unearthed in Portugal. I got a message from them in UK saying, Carl, you've been found. Run. Okay, very funny. Let's get those jokes out of the way. Let's get all those ageist jokes out the way when it comes to dinosaurs and tell you about the skeleton of the huge dinosaur unearthed in Portugal. And I want to say something about this photograph here. One of the sauropod's ribs is about 3 meters long. That is a humongous dinosaur, friends. Paleontologists in Portugal, thanks to enca.com, enca.com, and this link sent to me by Francis, who was very excited about this find in Portugal. Paleontologists in Portugal have unearthed a fossilized skeleton of what could be the largest dinosaur ever found in Europe. I think at that point, you've got to say, wow, largest dinosaur skeleton ever found in Europe. That's big news, isn't it? There you go. And apparently, the remains are thought to be those of a sauropod, a herbivorous dinosaur, 12 meters, 39 feet tall. This is 6 stories, I'm told, and 25 meters long, 25 meters long, 75, 80 feet, that roamed the earth around 150 million years ago. Wow. It's one of the biggest specimens discovered in Europe, perhaps in the world, says a very modest paleontologist by the name of Elizabeth Malafaia from the Faculty of Sciences at Lisbon University. And she told the AFP this on Monday. The bones were uncovered by Portuguese and Spanish scientists in the garden of a house near Pombal in central Portugal at the beginning of August. Okay, so I won't read too much of that story. I'll give you the link so you can check it out for yourself. But what I want to say is, looking at that photograph there, morning, Wiley, we'll be with you in just a moment. You will see that they are, it looks to me like a Portuguese picnic site. This is 150 million years old. It's one of the biggest found in Europe, possibly the world. And I'm thinking, they just look like they're at a picnic. They don't have masks on. They're poking at it. it looks to me like they've cleared away the empty bottles of Sagres and the Tremosoish or whatever, or the remnants of a barbecue to one side to take the official picture. But they're not in lab coats, or have I just been brainwashed? I mean, one guy has got one glove on. I think it's a glove or a paper bag or something, and they could, maybe I have been brainwashed by Hollywood. What if it emits a green gas? Suddenly, like one of those movies. But why have they not got masks on? Why is it not? Maybe it is covered. It could be covered. We can't see that from the photograph. But what I'm saying is it's a very casual approach to examining something that's 150 million years old. You'd expect gloves and masks, wouldn't you? And maybe clothing more appropriate to the forensic task at hand. I don't know. Is that just me? Let me know what you think about that as well as rising rental prices, the treatment of dinosaurs that recently discovered here. They are in no way connected, but I have found a way of connecting them this morning. A couple more comments then before we go to Wiley, who very kindly joins us from Cascais this morning. Cascais Calling this morning with Wiley. Playing with balls. What's this known to do? Dangly bits. Victoria's here. There is a video. There is a video debunking the blue theory. Oh, is that about whether blue is a fairly new color in our vocabulary? Interesting. Okay, penultimate syllable, melancia. Melancia, I'm going to go with. And is Targo Armenian? The big question of the morning. Is Targo Armenian, I wonder? I don't actually know what Miguel's talking about now. Okay, and car matriculation update. Well, thank goodness, we were all wondering. We've managed to get T-Duck's driving license sorted now. I use the term we very loosely. Thank you, Carla, mainly for that. And car matriculation update from Lord Gilchrist. All documentation is done. Well, that's a relief for all of us, isn't it? Just need to do the inspection and buy some left-hand drive headlights this morning. Be careful out there. What an exciting life you lead, Lord Gilchrist. Wife screams, pauses, and then explains, I thought a goat had wandered in here. Wiley, you're leaning into the screen trying to understand that quote. Let's bring you onto the screen this morning, see if we can figure that out together.
I always come to the middle of the conversation. And I'm like, What?
What? So, Cascais, good morning to you. Are you in Cascais? Are you in Sweden? Or are you somewhere else?
I'm back. No, I'm back in Cascais. Thank goodness.
Really? Why'd you say that? I'm just going to take the goat comment off the screen for a minute. We'll come back to that. Why? Thank goodness. What's happening?
Because it's home.
Oh, it's home. Yes, of course. Yes. So I thought that there was something that had gone on. You do hear a lot of horror stories, people traveling around the world at the moment. Thank God I'm home. I've just had 12 flights cancelled and been sent back to the airport I didn't want to go to. My luggage is now in Sydney, Australia. But was your travel fairly trouble-free? I hope it was.
Well, I went home. One of the reasons I went home was to help my son sell his apartment. And he lives in this tiny little town in the north of Sweden. And so I fly in, take another flight to go up there. And it's in this strange airplane. I booked through Norwegian. And then this no-name airplane shows up, but it has Norwegian like pamphlets in the seats. I'm in the front row. And we leave 45 minutes late. Nobody tells us why. Nobody says a word. So we take off and they tell us the safety instructions and then ignore us for an hour. No one ever walks down the aisle. I was like, what do we, okay, can I have some water? No, okay. So then we lay out. And before, and before we even stop rolling, like we are still, the wheels were like and then we just stopped. I'm watching this girl, she jumps up and opens the door without cross-check, the word we always are hearing.
Yeah,
so she opens the door. Her arm almost flies off the door as the door basically flies out. The state of emergency happens and the slide employs, right?
No.
Right? And I'm watching this whole thing and she's freaking out. And so what is her first thought, because already we can tell how educated she is. Her first thought is, I'm going to prevent anybody from coming through this door because we're in a state of emergency. So we should let people off the plane. So she closes the gate and puts in all the carts, 2 carts in front of the door. So now we're blockaded into the airplane. Like one mistake after the other. And then nobody speaks to us. Nobody says anything. The pilot still hasn't spoken to us. And then like 10 minutes later, they're like, well, we're going to let people off the back of the plane. No explanations. So that's the only thing that happened to me. I was quite safe. It was just almost a comedy of errors, I guess.
Well, yes, something weird seems to be happening in the world of aviation at the moment. I think there's a whole load of factors, aren't there? I mean, staff are extremely demoralized. That's if they're even still working. And it sounds like they might have just got a few new people in. We've got to get these. We've sold some tickets. Maybe if you'd have kept your eye on the small ads of the Swedish press, you'd have seen the advert asking for somebody with an aeroplane and a few friends. We've sold some tickets to the north of Sweden, and we need to fulfill this contract. If you've got a small aircraft and you've got a few pals,
jobs available.
That's right. Can you help us out on Thursday? We've got to fly a few people up to the north of Sweden. Yeah. Have you done it before? No. How are we going to do customer service? Well, we just won't. We won't bother with customers.
We won't.
Don't talk to anyone. What's our strategy? Don't talk to anyone. Don't tell them anything, and we won't get in any trouble at all. Wow. I think. Well, thank goodness you're safe after that. That is quite a strange anecdote to hear.
Very strange.
And you've put, I think the Swedish tourist board will be a little bit disappointed about that. That might have a few people cancelling their trips to the north of Sweden. Have you sold the place? Is your son's place sold now? That's what we want to know.
48 hours.
Well, there you go. That's why, folks. That is why you should be using Wiley and Associates with your property. Not just
staged it. We did a great job. It was beautiful. Yeah.
So you flew home and you staged a viewing situation. People came round and you sold it within 48 hours. That is the way to do it. Well done, Wiley. I bet your son's delighted.
So
fantastic.
happy.
Yeah, excellent stuff. So back in Cascais, what's going on in that wonderful part of Portugal right now? At the end of the season coming up, right?
Well, it is fascinating. I mean, it's predominantly in Lisbon, and I don't go to Lisbon a lot, but when we were in Lisbon a couple of weeks ago, and then last week, it went from like 0, there were so many people that you could barely move. Like people waiting in line for all the typical things you're supposed to wait in line for, and you're just kind of walking down the street avoiding everybody to nothing, like it's empty.
Yeah.
Because schools are starting, right? So I mean, people are going home. But I mean, it was crazy, the difference. And now in Cascais, we went from, it's quieter.
Yeah.
It's because we had our big, festival. Cascais had its wonderful music festival, and I will tell you that it was packed with people. 1,000 people in that area. The music was amazing. The setup was incredible. Cascais is incredible. It does amazing things, and when they do them right. They had the most amazing food trucks up and down the street. They'd locked off everybody. You couldn't drive through downtown Cascais for the last 4 or 5 days. I mean, I was on my Vespa and they told me to go around. I'm like, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. The festival doesn't start. No, you have to go around. So, it was a hassle, but it was cool. It was cool. They did a good job. But other than that,
I think you had some great, you had great acts, didn't you, at the gig as well? It sounded like an amazing, not just one evening, probably more than 2 or 3 evenings of great entertainment.
And multiple acts every evening. They were just incredible.
Yeah.
Well, the acoustics were amazing.
And this is a thing as well. I'm concerned for the people of Portugal. I don't know how long they can keep on partying at this rate. It began in July, didn't it? And they have not stopped partying. I mean, they're making up for lost time during the pandemic. And I am thinking of starting a little campaign on Facebook where Portuguese people and visitors to Portugal can mark themselves as safe from the festa season. Because it is insane, isn't it? I mean, it won't just be Cascais. When you go to the little villages and towns around, they'll be having their festa too, won't they? So I've created this meme here. Hold on a minute. I need to take the banner off just for a moment so people can see exactly what's going on. But October 2022, well, this is when I anticipate it will all be over. And totally festered is the actual condition that people are going to be in. And we need you, Portuguese people, to mark yourselves as safe from the festa season. I honestly don't know how they're doing it. And it's not over yet. It really isn't finished, is it? Still around the country.
No, it's amazing. I mean, they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good.
And another thing about that, Wiley, of course, is that I don't notice that any of the tourism industry is based on the festas. And it could be, couldn't it? You know, you could come and coincide. I know a lot of Portuguese people who live outside Portugal come back for their local or family festa, and that's a beautiful thing to see. You know, they come back from France maybe, and they're here to coincide with the festa, which goes on, you know, in the holiday month of August. That's a beautiful thing. But, you know, you hear about Brazil, you know, the Carnival, Rio Carnival, and people go there on holiday. It could happen in Portugal as well, couldn't it? We could have an entirely festa-based tourism thing going on here in Portugal. And again, it's another modest thing about Portugal. The world doesn't seem to know about it.
And I'm grateful for that. Sorry.
Okay, you don't want more people on those.
Well, you know, I mean, living in Cascais is like living in Stockholm. My kids said to me growing up, "Why do people come and visit us here? Why is everyone coming to where we live here? Why do people visit here?" And it when you live in a tourist-based community, it is weird being a local. You know, I mean, because you kind of have to circumvent what they're doing on some level. And so grateful for the locals. I mean, but that's not to say that we locals, we are always playing, you know? So, I mean, it's like our playing in the background of their playing. And then, you know, ultimately they think that this is a place to play and then they come and move here, which is awesome. But yeah. I prefer less tourism and more localism. Is that a thing?
Yes.
It's just
Sorry,
nice.
Say that again. What's the campaign we're launching this morning?
Less tourism, more localism.
Yes.
Is localism a word? It's a word now.
No, there's definitely, I heard a localvore. This is somebody who eats locally, I think. No, localism is definitely a thing. And we're glad, aren't we, that now that we can call ourselves locals, we're pulling up the drawbridge and everyone else can. Okay. All right. So Wiley doesn't like my idea. Does any? And in fact, some people have jokingly said to me, "Look, we're going to pay you to stop talking about Portugal. Okay, enough." Enough already.
True.
Okay. Interesting from you, Miguel. Thank you very much for this. Great to find out more about you. Portugal has 1 million descendants in France, not all descending from you, I suspect. Miguel, you sound quite young, and that would have been quite an achievement. But they come here on vacation, and we've seen this, haven't we? And we've heard the joke, you know, the second biggest Portuguese city is Paris. And we do see this, certainly in central Portugal, people coming home from France, you know, to their ancestral home and being here for the festa. Oh, look, a bit of controversy, I think. I prefer the Alcochete. I prefer Alcochete to Cascais. The festa is far better, in my opinion. Look at you. Well, each to their own, we say about that. However, hey, Wiley, from Sarah, Cascais just went up a number of pegs this morning. There you go. We were in the Eber Marques of HMB, the Eber Marques band. Is from Cascais as well. So love for Cascais from the Yerman household this morning. Were there snakes on the plane as well? In that scenario, it sounds like a scene from the movie Airplane as well. It does, doesn't it?
Oh my God, we joke about that movie all the time, Snakes on a Plane. Absolutely. No, yeah. There weren't. There could have been.
Well, I think we've got a Swedish remake of this as well. What is this? Were there snakes? Morning, Pete. Good morning to you. If they don't say anything, they can't say anything wrong. Well, there's the new customer service strategy. Just shut up. Just shut up. Eventually, the customers will stop talking to you as well. After half. It's all the new airport staff that don't know what they're doing.
It's hard.
It is hard, isn't it? It is hard. Happy today has saved over €300 on our hotel booking by booking direct and cancelling the one through a well-known.
I think booking direct is the way to go. It's the way to go.
Okay.
And airline, booking, absolutely. And the service you get is, you get to have conversations with people. Remember the olden days? We called direct. We called the hotels. We spoke to them. It was wonderful.
Did you just say, remember the olden days?
I did. I'm old enough to say those things.
Okay. Anyone else remember the olden days? And talking of which, you might have been driving through northern Sweden and stopping off, wouldn't you? That was the excitement of being on holiday and on a road trip. None of this online booking. You'd be thinking to yourself, okay, it's after lunch. We better think about where we're staying tonight. And if you couldn't speak the language or call somebody on the phone, you would just keep stopping at places, wouldn't you? See, hotel sign, that's good. Let's drive in here. And that is how it was done. And I think you're right. And Ian, and you're right. There's no reason why that shouldn't happen again. And the money goes to the establishment, doesn't it, rather than to
Yes.
the parasitical middleman.
Yes.
And you might get yourself a nice deal, because getting on for what, after later in the afternoon, what's the best you can do me on a room, isn't it? And that, if they haven't got full occupancy, it's not going to make a massive deal of difference to them to do you a little bit of a bargain. So it is worth going in and doing that, right? Unless they've got those staff trained by Northern Sweden Airlines who just sit there and don't say anything. What's the best you can do me on a hotel room tonight? I'll go somewhere else. Okay, let's hope that keeping mum attitude in customer service does not last for much longer. Hakes on a plane then. That was a fishy twist to that situation. Soon you'll be fondly reminiscing over the gently waving highlighted comb over. Well, there's something to look forward to. Second random comment of the day for you there, Wiley. I have missed upward inflection. Wow, is Portugal really quiet at Porto at the end of August and start of September? You learn a new thing. Wow, is Portugal really? It really is. I mean, this is what's happening in the Bay here as well. It's like a switch, isn't it? August comes to a close as it did yesterday. It's now September. Okay, back to school, back to work. That's it, finished. Look, this is a nice insight. We call them AVECs. AVEC is with in French, as some of you will know, and they say that a lot. So our return people are called the AVECs. I didn't know that. Did you know that, Wiley?
No, I did not.
There you go. And Jean's in as well. Pete, of course. Carlos Ribeiro. Lots of Portuguese people in this morning. Thank you very much for being here. Mobrasto Tuga, a Portuguese hug, a Tuga hug from Matosinhos this morning. Thank you, Carlos Ribeiro. Thank you for being here. Matosinhos sounds awesome. Our contract says it is usually the biggest festa in the north. Another one, another wafer thin festa to go to. Oh my goodness. And they are mostly well integrated in France there. Okay, so let's bring the talk. Let's bring the focus back to Cascais. What is going on apart from all the tourists beginning to leave now? Property-wise, what's happening in the real estate world, Wiley?
Well, I mean, let's just morph the end of the tourism to say that we are having tourists come in, but now for a special thing that's happening this coming weekend. And that is it's actually not this weekend, but it's coming. Is the Padel tournament, the international Padel tournament, because this is one of the ways we play here. So again, partying to playing, we play. I'm going to a dinner tomorrow night that starts with 2 hours of Padel, take a shower, show up for dinner at the host's house. And this is consistent now with at least with the groups that I'm hanging out with. And so people, I just read in the Swedish news that a number of Swedes are coming here to play in this international tournament. So they've taken the gardens in front of the casino and built up these huge, I can only think of lectures, the stadium seating, and then the paddle courts in the middle. Like they're putting in these temporary paddle courts spotted around the casino. And it is the most amazing. It's so beautiful to play with the casino behind you and the ocean in front of you. I mean, where does this happen in the world? It's gorgeous.
It is.
And all these international players are coming into what they're calling this tiny little fisherman's village to play this huge game. It is so beautiful to watch. So we're also excited about it. So that's another way to play here is, is having these tournaments show up and that we get to be part of them. So that's an exciting thing that happens in Cascais.
Well, can I stop you there? Because a couple of things. This is Estoril. Is this outside the casino on that lovely foreground there? That is an incredible view, isn't it? So, and you've got the railway line, haven't you, on the front there? Because you go through that lovely tunnel, don't you, to get to the seafront underneath the railway line. So people will be arriving from Lisbon on the train, walking over to this new global international paddle competition. I know. But what is paddle? What is going on with paddle? I think you might have talked about it once before, but I don't think it's a widely known sport, is it? Or not yet, anyway. No, really.
It really is.
It really is widely known. For the benefit of for me, basically, could you go through it again?
To be fair, in Europe, because in America it's just starting to bubble, but. Gosh, in Sweden, it's been for quite some time. So you can fit, according to my coach, 3 paddle tennis courts into a tennis court.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. So imagine the size difference. It's always doubles. It's a combination of probably squash and tennis. and badminton, probably. The rackets are very thick and porous. The better ones are probably made of cork, or the ones that at least are made locally. The balls are a tennis ball per se, and the only real differences are that you can pull there's the back 2/3 of the court are glass, or let's say half of the court, and you're allowed to pull your ball off the glass or hit the ball back onto the glass to project it over to the other side. And it's beautiful because it's a slower game, but it's all about ball placement, and it's all about, it's just about placement, and it's gorgeous to watch. It's incredible.
Who doesn't like a bit of ball placement in the morning? Absolutely. So thank you for that. You likened it to badminton, and some people like badminton because it's not quite as strenuous in some ways as tennis. Because the thing about tennis is it's like the strongest person kind of wins, don't they? If they dominate with the serve. Not so much with paddle, possibly. Is it more of an accessible a sport that would have a little bit more fun rather than just outright competitive aggression going on?
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Okay, there's fun in there as well.
It's so great. And so a way for expats to get together is, for example, at Quinta de Marinha, they have 6 paddle courts inside. Yeah. And they have a group now that I'm a member of where we sign up 2 days before to play, and we're 4 women a court. So we're 24 women who dominate for an hour and a half on this particular court. And it's a system where the losers stay, the winners move on, and they just keep rolling from court to court. Nobody wins anything. It's just so much fun. And you get to every time you go, every 20 minutes you switch. So I play with new people every 20 minutes. I mean, talk about, it's like speed dating. It's like you make so many new friends. Every 20 minutes, I'm hanging out with someone new that has to be my partner. So like you get really close really quickly. So when we talked about coming here for community, this is a place to be part of a community, to really learn about other people and get to know other people in a pretty intimate way for 20 minutes and then move on. And afterwards we hang out and have beer or whatever, but it is so much fun and such a great way to meet new people. So anybody who's coming here and doesn't know where to find people to hang out with, pick up a sport, especially paddle.
And pizza's
all
involved.
Inclusive. It's wonderful.
Is pizza the traditional food of paddle then? It says something like Cascais pizzas and a paddle shop at this place.
I wouldn't suggest that.
Okay, but this is access to a whole new world for a few of us here.
Amazing. And it's not dangerous. It's really safe. We have our rackets strapped onto our hands, so even if it kind of goes, you can't hurt anybody. It's really, the only injuries, kind of overuse injuries, just like tennis, tennis elbow kind of thing, which is your standard thing because you're only using one side of your body. It's amazing. It's over the top. There are, I can name 5 paddle places to play paddle within 20 minutes of Cascais.
And who started this then here in Portugal? Is this a Swedish thing?
No, I don't know.
So, all right. I think I've got a spin-off idea. Padel Donata as well. There should be some kind of hybrid thing. They should have a little coffee shop called Padel Donata.
Well, there's coffee shops, but it's mostly, at the end of our competitions, they usually have barbecues. Yeah. Quinta de Maria is beautiful because it's underneath the trees. Estoril does a great job because it's under roof, and they serve a huge buffet for us with, they just bring out bottles of wine and huge salads, and we sit there with the 24 people we just played with, Portuguese and all over it's an expat plus Portuguese. The Portuguese women are the ones who are playing with us.
This is amazing.
Many Portuguese friends. It's great.
And from the growing old disgracefully kind of point of view and gentle fitness for bon viveurs, is there a kind of seniors league as well? Is it a sport you can continue to play?
Yes, absolutely. Here they do it where they rate you from 1 to 4, being the better players. So if you're in the division 4, you're the top players. And then within that division, you can also be in an over 50, over 60.
This is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And you made mention there of making friends. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Wiley. We are now seeing the return of some Americans who, there's been an very exciting curve, hasn't there, just recently. Let's talk about this on Move to Portugal Thursday. And that we've seen the rise in interest from Americans in coming to Portugal. And now we're seeing the other part of the graph, I suppose, or the curve of people returning. And I heard a shock figure that 30 to 40% of Americans leave before a year is up. This is not scientific. It's not a sort of, market research study. It was just something that was said to me, but I think there must be some truth in it. What's your take on that?
Okay, I was in the grocery store the other day and someone came up to me and said, "Hi." And I was like, "Hi." And she said, "Are you an American?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I need friends." That was the first thing that came out of her mouth.
Really?
And I said to her, "Let's have lunch." And I'm literally having lunch with her today, but it was just, and I said to her, "What are you doing to make friends?" And she's like, "I don't even know where to start." So I think that when you don't establish your community pretty early on, it can be pretty lonely, especially if you don't know your neighborhoods and you end up in a Portuguese neighborhood and there's no English in your neighborhood. You can't even be friends with your neighbors, which is what we're so good at in the States. Just knocking on doors, welcome wagons, whatever, seeing people on the streets and just, talking to them.
What is a welcome wagon? What's a welcome wagon?
Oh, in the States, we have a groups in some towns called welcome wagons, which I think we should start here. And that is when you know in your community that someone moved in, you show up with a basket. And the basket could be from your local butcher, your local deli guy, your local bakery. And everyone knows that the welcome wagon puts together a basket. So they donate a bread or a piece of whatever, a bottle of wine. And the label is from the local wine shop or from the local bakery. Welcome. We hope you'll come and visit us. And so it's kind of marketing of the local services, and the welcome wagon shows up with, brownies and just welcome to our community. Here are the local shops. Let us know if you need anything. It's great.
Okay, so this is really useful. Thank you. And bless that lady for saying, for coming right out in
Absolutely.
the store saying that.
Absolutely.
Because in another little bit of data that was coming in about this, and it's all very anecdotal, so forgive me for that, but I think we are pointing towards a phenomenon for sure. There is some truth in this. Number one reason for returning home is missing family. Not a lot you can do about that. I think there are strategies for making that easier. It's always going to be difficult. But then number two, which spins off from that, is loneliness, and that's the thing you just talked about there, isn't it? It's all very well, isn't it, to say learn Portuguese. And fit in with the community. Now, that's absolutely right. People should learn Portuguese, no question about it. But that takes a little bit of time. And then the time it takes and the social situations that are needed to practice and to form friendships might be on a different speed to the sense of feeling at home that human beings need wherever they are. And so number two is loneliness. And that is a great, that's one of your great suggestions this morning, is to join something like the Padel Club. And find people and get the balance right. So at first, I think it can be quite, people can be quite extreme and hard on themselves and saying, okay, well, I intend to learn Portuguese and I will be fluent in Portuguese by month 6, and I'll have 10 Portuguese friends and I'll barely speak to expats because I haven't gone into a new country to hang out in an expat ghetto. Doesn't always work out like that, does it? I think you need to balance reality with what your sort of ideological or optimistic hopes are of being in a new country. I don't know what your view is on that.
I completely agree with you. Absolutely. I think that it's important to integrate. I mean, we're here and we should be part of all communities. But the point is all communities, not just a Portuguese community. I did that mistake when I moved to Sweden. I thought, I'm not going to be friends with the Americans. I'm going to be friends with the Swedes. And ultimately, you go back because they're your people. It's your mother tongue. It's your people. And your jokes stem from the same place. And you have that. You're connected. There's nothing you can do to change that. You're connected to them, and it's wonderful. So don't ignore the Portuguese, but find your people. I mean, your people you're going to play with are people like you. I mean,
it's true.
We play with people who are like us, and I think that start with people who are in your community, who are from the places you're from. Yes. There's a wonderful woman here whose name is Julie Buck, who started a group on Facebook called Expats Cascais. I think there's 35,000 members. Yeah. And if I need something, I type in Expats Cascais and I go, I need something. And within a half an hour, I'll have like 20 people going, try this, this, this. I have this, this, and this. I can help you with this, this, this. Yes. And it's a community that supports itself. And then once a month, she does meetups. And they're huge. Yes. I mean, and it's so great. You walk away from them going, I have a new friend. And even as we get older, it's hard to make friends because we're a little bit more particular about who we deem friendship worthy. And they come in all the different. I mean, I'm probably friends with people I might not have been friends with back home, but they're great. Like, what was I thinking? They're awesome.
Yes.
So Yeah.
I saw a movie recently, lovely film, but I might have mentioned it before in the mornings here. But it's he won't get far on foot. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot with Joaquin Phoenix in it. And one of the lines is in it because they're in an Alcoholics Anonymous recovery group, and as they're leaving, he says, "Don't beat yourself up, and if you do, beat yourself with a feather, not a bat." And I think that's applicable in this situation. People have very high expectations or standards for themselves in how it's going to be when they move. And honestly, I don't think you can go against what you're actually feeling or what's undermining you with however strong your optimism or how you're beating yourself up with how quickly you're going to learn the language and make new friends. If that isn't happening, you've got to do something about the reality rather than your aspirations. And it just becomes another part of, I think, of this downward spiral that some people sound like they're getting themselves in when they come here, of not feeling at home. And that the spiral is going one way or the other, isn't it? And if it's not going up and you're not feeling integrated, it will probably be going down, and then you'll miss your people even more. And then there may be a money or health complication. So it's really important, I think, to feel at home and do some of the things that Wiley's talking about. And no doubt other people will be saying in the chat as well. So be easy on yourself. I've definitely changed my view on this over time. We in Portugal love Sweden, apparently, says Miguel. Sweden helped our communities that were coming to Portugal from the overseas empire. We will not forget your generosity. Do you know about this?
No.
I didn't know about that. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. But very Swedish, I've got to say as well. Full of that a Northern European social conscience there. You're
Sure.
hearing about, I think, from Miguel there. And Alcachette being recommended. Sounds like fun. Louise is here this morning. I did a short house sit in Cascais. Love the place. We'll definitely go back. Good morning to you, Louise. Thank you very much. I've never heard of it. I don't know what she's talking about there. The Northern Swedish airline, possibly. But we went to the Bull Ring 2. More talk about Alcachette, I think, here. There is a paddle club in Praia da Luz, says Ian. It was always busy, mostly with expats. I'm looking forward to playing at the hotel when we're there next month. So Coach Turner, you would expect, would know something about paddle. Brilliant. Started in Spain, apparently. Look at this. Around 1997. Always played in doubles. Has glass in flint and, front and back, probably. The ball is a bit smaller, not quite as bouncy. Padel is the official spelling, so Padel. Nice one. Padel Donata, definitely. Remember you heard that first? That is the Portuguese version. Bexine, thank you. Megine, thank you very much. Okay, what's that? Sometimes the ball manages to jump into the crowd. It's hilarious for those watching, but quite scary for those. Sound like going back medieval entertainment at a bull ring near you. Okay, to Louise from Pete. Louise, how's it going? Not seen you in a while. Yeah, it's great to have you this morning. Please do not suggest naturist paddle. Well, I am going to. No, don't. Wiley's not a fan either, by the sound of it. We're talking about whether to exercise naked or not. I think Northern Europeans are quite comfortable around nakedness in a way that the Brits, for example, aren't. Americans aren't comfortable around nakedness, I don't think, are they?
No.
So for practical reasons, probably best not to play paddle naked, not for any body shaming reason. I suspect there. Intimate for 20 minutes and then moved on. No, Pete. Is that look, Pete? Look, behave. That is a message for everybody this morning. Behave yourselves in the comments there. It is great to have sports that you can play at all ages, and paddle definitely a candidate for that. That's good to know. All right. Welcome wagon. What a great idea. We learned about that this morning. I love that. What a fantastic idea. And it's fully transferable, isn't it, to the expat scene here?
Sure. And so how about being an expat who doesn't know, buddy, starting your own welcome wagon in your own neighborhood, going to the local places, even if you have to pay €3 for the bread, who cares? But go to the local, the wine shops and the bakeries and suggest the idea. Yeah. And then become the local wagon. Become that person. If you don't have anybody to play it with, become the person who starts something. Start a meetup. Create something that you want to be part of.
And that meetup scene, because if you can't take the wagon to the house, you could take the wagon to the meetup, couldn't you? So if you've got new people coming to your meetup, you could have a little welcome pack, couldn't you, for them, and say
Absolutely.
this. If you're going to a local meetup, presumably, if you're not scouting, you're probably living nearby, and you could have a lovely little welcome wagon meetup, little welcome package. Very, very nice idea this morning. GMP, an amazing soft landing, established community when we arrive, plus Facebook groups, especially in the area we plan to land, all before you get. And I think you've said this before, Wiley, is reach out to the groups before you arrive, and they are at least the beginnings of your preformed community here. I haven't felt lonely even once since arriving nearly 11 months ago. Well, I think it's great that you share your secrets, and it's so lovely to hear that, James. And I think it's, you've got back in kind what you've put out. I guess that's how life works,
Always.
isn't it?
Yeah.
International Women in Portugal, and English speaking with lots of different activities all year round. Do you know about this organization, International Women in Portugal? Well, very good. So any property updates? Yes, we should talk about that. We got massively distracted this morning. But no, before we move on to property and what's going on, which I suspect we know the answer to, onward and upward in many ways, and some of the social difficulties that were mentioned earlier on from our earlier correspondent. But Estoril Casino, the inspiration for James Bond, we believe, right, Wiley? I think Ian Fleming knew about the casino there, and there were some amazing real-life characters that Fleming drew his inspiration from to create James Bond, and so Portugal is to thank for that as well.
Right, and there's a Hotel Palacio, which is right next to the casino. They have a spy bar because they really believe that, that's kind of, it all came from the 007. And so there's a lot of people that hang out at the spy bar. I meet a lot of clients at the spy bar. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. The hotel in and of itself is a beautiful place. I go to a ball there every year because it's just incredible. So, I mean, just in and around the area, in and around the casino maintains some of the original architecture and the original places that were in the movies, but that people continue to visit, and it's just it's beautiful. It really is. It's they've maintained so much of what the original casino stood for. I mean, although some of us could look at it and say it's quite tacky, and the neon lights at night. One of the things that I love about Portugal is that you don't have flashing signs. You don't have a lot of billboards on the highways. There's not, signs going eat here, meet here, do all these things. But the casino at night, it's all these red and white flashing signs, and it's sparkly signs, and it kind of should be. You almost expect the lights outside, the huge. But it's there's limousines out front during the day. There's lots of police out front. There's a lot of who's coming in and playing little high rollers. They have a lot. If you go to their website, they have a lot of shows. They have a lot of different venues inside for shows, and they even have a buffet like in Las Vegas. You have to go visit it, if nothing else.
It's got to be done. Get that on the list, folks. Bit of fun there. And of course, this was happening. The inspiration I think that Fleming took from that place and the spy bar you speak of is because Portugal was neutral in the war, and spies. It was a safe kind of place to meet up and for secrets to be traded, I guess. And it's where the Bola de Berlim comes from, isn't it? German spies or representatives meeting in Cascais Estoril wanted to have their custard-filled donut, which lives on and is firmly a part of Portuguese culture. I had bought one on the beach yesterday, the Bola de Berlim.
Exactly. I love that they kind of sing along the beach, and sometimes they're in a little cart, but mostly they're just carrying it over their bags and singing. It's great. It's great.
Bola de Berlim.
Just because.
Fantastic bit of Portuguese history and culture. We will get around to property. Okay. And you've got to have can you imagine? You've got to have a sense of humor being a cocktail mixologist in that spy bar, because everyone's going to be asking for a martini, aren't they? Shaken. Let me guess. Shaken, not stirred.
Not stirred, right. Never heard that before.
Never heard that before.
Never heard this guy asking for
that. Let me fix that for you. It's only the 300th one I've made today. Padel. Louise hadn't heard of it either, which is great. So we're spreading the paddle word. Working with paddle missionaries. And talking of meetups, Porto meetup is set. Thank you very much to Stalikas for doing this. The Stalikas, September 19th, Monday, 1 p.m. Details on the Expats Forum by Hank_2021. Come and join us. That's fantastic. Thank you two. Really appreciate you doing that. So a bit of a property update then. So just heading skyward, isn't it? Is there a bit of a let up on rentals? Did I hear that right from a source? No, nothing. What's going on then?
All right. One example. We have a wonderful, beautiful new building where the old bullfighting arena was here in Cascais, called One Living. 3 months ago, I had some American clients coming through. They were looking for a rental, T2. Let's call it 80 square meters. And we walked in for $4,000 a month. We were one of 13 people in line. We were number 3. We decided that it was not big enough. The client literally said, I can't put a dining table and a sofa in the open floor plan. I have to find something else.
Yeah.
3 months later, last week, I had a client looking for a T2, 1 living. Same exact floor plan, same exact one, but just 1 block behind, 5,500.
Good heavens.
4,000 3 months ago, 5,500 now. Still can't put a sofa and a dining table in the open floor plan.
Yeah.
So no, it's not changing. And with the new coefficient coming in, where they have the opportunity to increase, as we heard, what, Carl, up to 5% next coming coefficient term.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, the best thing we can do is buy property and lease it out, but renting property long term, it's
what
tough.
do you mean? What's the distinction there then? Leasing it out or renting it out? Can you explain the difference?
Absolutely. No, I mean, if you're going to come in looking for a rental, recognizing that the prices are higher than they've ever been and continue, and there will be another increase next year in the opportunity to, I mean, first of all, the prices are, we're talking now, what we talked about prior to COVID at 17 euros a square meter, we're up towards 30 euros per square meter now, and that we're going to continue to see an increase in that. It's become, plus people are, I mean, 3 months rental up front, I mean, just to move into someplace at 5,000 a month. I mean, we're looking at 6 times, we can look up to 30,000 just to move in.
Yes.
It's almost impossible. So, I mean, I really believe that we should, our focus should be away from renting and focus should be into, if nothing else, just buy something little. Because when you, buy something for 250, 300 and then go ahead and live in it for your year while it's almost less expensive to live in that for a year. Do you know what I'm saying? Find something that you love and then rent that out in turn. Then you have a 2 for 1, but you're saving this, money that you're just giving away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? An incredible situation. It's being cooked, of course, by people seeing how attractive Portugal is. They're contributing to that, and I don't know what can be done about it. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more later on in the show. But that is what's going on as you describe it there. And we should say, of course, Cascais, fabulous place to live. That is a particular bubble of this kind of expansion. It's probably the pinnacle alongside certain parts of Lisbon. That is the pinnacle of this kind of expansion and growth, is it not, in Portugal?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Can you rent our T5 for 10,000 a month? Probably is the answer to that. What's the best way to get in touch with you, Wiley, for people who want to do that, who want your help in Cascais and Estoril?
Oh, you guys have my email address, so Carl can put it on there.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, the T5s, well, it's interesting because someone just asked me to do a T8. There's also a curve because the T0s, T1s, and then you have your 2 3s, which is kind of the peak. Everyone almost needs a T2, T3. You get to a T4 and you're starting to drop T5, T6, T7, T8s. Just there's not as many people who need a 6 or 7 bedroom. So the prices start to drop a bit there. So just know that going in, but a T2, 3 is still at the top of the market. We looked at an 8,000. It was 4 bedroom, 8,000 a month, but it was dead on ocean views in a concierge building. Yeah. I looked at a 10,000 in 1 living with a penthouse, 2 stories plus a 3rd story. I had the terrace on the top of the building. So those numbers are real. I have one in Lisbon, 8 bedrooms overlooking the park right behind El Corte Inglés, gorgeous, for 10,000. But yeah. They exist. They're few and far between. I can get a house for less than 10,000. But some people would pay that for an apartment. It just depends on their standard of living.
It does, doesn't it? It really does. Quite extraordinary. Okay. What's this? With inflation running at 80%, you should increase it every month exponentially. I mean, people are joking here, but this is quite an extraordinary situation at the moment, isn't it? Did you hear about the last remaining unit in the apartment building? It was last but not least. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's like a real estate dad joke. Quite awful, but quite brilliant at the same time. There's Wiley's email address, wiley@wileyandpartners.com. Thank you for being here this morning, Wiley. Thank you for that update there. Thank you for introducing us to Padel, a little bit of history about the Estoril Casino as well, and telling us what's going on in your wonderful part of the world there. Do get in touch if you need the help of Wiley at wileyandpartners.com. Looking forward to seeing you next month already. All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a great day over there. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye-bye. Right, there she goes. There she goes. Bit of that applause for the real estate dad joke as well. They're very good. Other people, I think, thinking they might get involved in Padel Estoril there. Presumably they can guide you towards other clubs around the country. Interestingly, the website for that is Padel Estoril, Padel, as Maxine said, but .cl. What is that suffix domain? .cl. I'm not sure what that is, but thank you for introducing us to that, Wiley. And I'm going to have a quick look at the weather and the news for the remainder of the show. And how on earth do we resolve this situation that was mentioned earlier on in the show? You know, this is pricing people out. People can't afford to rent in places where they may have grown up. This is not a Portugal specific situation. This is obviously a result, a symptom of market forces. Let's call it that this morning. What's to be done? What countries around the world have come up with elegant solutions for such a situation, which seems to be unstoppable, doesn't it, within our current system? It's just you. I thought it might be. It's just you, Carl. Archaeologists don't generally wear protective clothing or equipment. Think Time Team with Tony Robinson. Okay, well, thank you for that. Exciting conversations then. What's that? When you're playing sport naked? I don't know. But probably with that. And okay, we need to find out more about this Eber March band, I think. Can you have a link to them and a particularly good track? Maybe a Spotify link would be pretty awesome, Sarah, on that. More comments coming in then. Anyone solving the problem of global capitalism and the cooking that it creates for people? Bom dia, bom mês de setembro from Elena this morning. Elena's Portuguese Lounge Corner. Lots of Portuguese people here this morning. Thank you for being here. And this is a solution, isn't it? Bom dia from the beautiful and reasonably priced Bairrada. While you were thinking that, oh my God, this is quite an extraordinary situation, let's bear in mind, and as I pointed out there, talking to Wiley, that it's exceptional. Cascais is an amazing place. It has been developing over the years, hasn't it, as something of an expat haven, and the prices now reflect that. Other parts of Portugal are available, as you can see here. What was I? I was involved with a T15. That was very reasonably priced at 100,000 euros. There, you can still rent and buy at a reasonable price in Portugal. I mean, you might say, well, why should Portuguese people have to move out of the towns and cities they were born in to do that? I don't know. That's too big a question for me to take on right now, and I get the point. But practically speaking, you can still get very reasonably priced property and what seem to be fairly reasonably priced rentals in other parts of Portugal. Don't feel daunted because you can't afford Cascais anymore. Would you agree, Andy, for example? Great show, says Terence. Was in Cascais recently, and it was mad. Very busy, but lovely food and vibe. Lovely to be able to convey that to you. And thank you to Terence Austin, the great Renaissance man and artist, Terence Austin. Good morning, dear boy. He is with us this morning. Risk missing out and refuse to pay and offer such ridiculous prices, rents and purchasing difficult to see. Exactly. We know the solution, don't we? But who's going to be first to do that, I wonder? And is there a beautiful picture at the end of your journey? Of course, if Terence Austin is involved, there will be, won't there? What do I have to do, says Joao F, to be part of the Lisbon Live meetup, assuming it's all right for me to go? Was that the one that was all women? Joao F. See you tonight, my friend. Looking forward to that wonderful webinar tonight where we have a panel of Portuguese people, including Joao F this evening, talking about us foreigners and immigrants and how we can fit in and how we can adjust and adapt and what they think about us this evening from 7:30 on the webinar. Really looking forward to that tonight. Yes, says Slug, and be willing to live outside the high-priced areas and still don't offer or accept ridiculous prices. There's always the possibility of a beautiful picture at the end of any journey with Terence Austin. Chris B is here. Hey, bon dia. Sorry I'm late. No faz mal, no faz mal. I love seeing people who love my country. Well, we certainly do that here notwithstanding this, us playing some or having some responsibility for making the price of houses and rentals higher and higher, it seems. We certainly love the country, Elena. We're so glad and delighted and grateful to be here. I inquired about a T11, says Lord Gilchrist. 350,000, but had no roof, brick windows, etc. Well, there's a business opportunity in that, isn't there? Some sort of sex dungeon or something. You know what you like. Antonio F. Finally, as in finally, got the D7 and feel like we're part of the crew. Yes, Sunset Chasers. Woo! Fantastic. Well done, Sunset Chasers. I like the name of your YouTube channel. What's that about? Tell us more. It's all about the T in Portuguese property. What's that? Property is theft. I don't know what point you're making there, Pete. But thank you for being here this morning. Thank you to everyone who's here this morning. Let's have a look at those. Oh, here we go. This is back to Sunset Chasers for a minute. We'll have a look at the news and the weather before we leave today. Thanks, Antonio. We've been lurking, but decided to finally join. Well, you're very welcome. You're very, very welcome indeed. Slug will be with you in just a moment to give you your welcome, your virtual welcome wagon. Okay. And yes, thank you for that, Elena, as well. Bon dia, bon mês de setembro, which of course is right to say today on this, the first day of September 2022, folks. Where did August go? Nuha Abdelaziz. Hello, how to schedule a consultation appointment. Is that for visas? I think, Nuha. Please go to, or is that with Wiley? Okay. It might be with Wiley. It might be with EI or A, as Chris B rightly says. Either way, let me put the business directory link into the chat, and that's your best start there, Nuha. Great to have you aboard this morning as well. And I missed that bon dia, everyone from Sunset Chasers. You are so welcome here. No need to lurk no longer, friends. You're very welcome here. Let's hear about your new life in Portugal. Please share, and please ask if you've got any questions or if there's any way we can help. We are actually the welcome. We're a human welcome wagon here. We've been adopted by 2 faith communities in Setúbal. Those are folks who are sort of there to be nice to whoever shows up. 6 months later, after I got here, 25 people showed up to my birthday. Oh, that is lovely. That is beautiful. Faith communities, that is another way to do it, isn't it? And make friends and feel part of something. We need that as human beings, don't we? We need to feel connected. And that's, I think, where that downward spiral can begin, is if we don't feel connected and we feel a little bit adrift, we can start to feel lonely and things compound. It's like compound interest, folks. I think it's emotional compound interest in this instance. So please reach out. Please reach out if you are feeling lonely. I'm in the middle of looking for an apartment so I can complete my VFS application. Chris B, was that aimed at Wiley as well in Cascais? Where were you thinking, Chris? Let us know. And Sarah, did they say that aliens were following a comet and bring their own buffet? Not all faith communities are the same, Peter, you rascal. Okay, let's have a look at the news headlines then. Portugal resident first. And actually, yeah, let me bring onto the screen their virtual front page for you, see what's going on. There are some very interesting articles at the moment. I don't know if you've seen about the Minister of Health resigning. Poison Chalice, who wants that job now? Pretty horrible circumstances, I have to say, when it comes to her, not dismissal, but her quitting, her resignation. That's the front story, the top story for the Portugal resident at the moment. Have I put that on the screen? No, I haven't. There you go. There she is. That will be your Marta Temido there. Awful situation, the circumstances of her resignation. But who would be a health minister anywhere in the world right now? Mikhail Gorbachev, we didn't mention that yesterday, did we? Mikhail Gorbachev, of course, passed away, and PCP in Portugal were marking the death of Mikhail Gorbachev. And Portugal, extremely pro-European and can be an EU leader, says somebody who I don't quite recognize at the moment there. That was an amazing story that you see there in front of you. Judge drops criminal charges after super football kicker breaks down in court. Now, that's a sort of headline you want to click on, as well as the GNR agent who fainted in sole charge of Moita police station. But I'm going to go to this football kicker, super football kicker story. Apparently, we're talking about small aircraft and weird things with airplanes. Let's continue that theme. Judge drops criminal charges after super football kicker breaks down in court. This young fella was on a beach. There was a low-flying aircraft. He kicked the ball, I believe, 3 times, and one of them hit the airplane. Let me read more for you. Anyone who felt for the young man arrested after his footballing skills saw him reach the wing of a low-flying plane may be delighted to know he's not having the book thrown at him. Mixing of metaphors there, books and footballs. Is this Natasha Don? It's got the look of and sound of Natasha Don. Yes, it's Natasha Don in the Portugal resident. What appears to have been a feat that should go down in the Guinness Book of Records instead saw the super kicker spend a night in police cells. He was then presented before a magistrate, whereupon he burst into tears. Oh, no news. I think he probably feels punished enough, doesn't he? And the judge thought so as well, I suspect. No news source has been more revealing. Suffice to say, the judge appreciated the fact that the defendant was extremely sorry for his actions. And how low was it flying that he was either he's a really good footballer or that aeroplane was flying dangerously low over a beach, and has reduced the criminal charges of an attack on aeronautic transport to an inquiry to be carried out by the public ministry. The incident on Praia de Massas in the borough of Sintra on Sunday certainly did not look like an attack, nor did it cause any damage. The plane, touched by the ball, did not even appear to wobble slightly in videos placed online, but the crowds on the beach apparently denounced the young man as they were there for religious reasons. The plane was taking part in a tradition of dropping flower petals and clearly took them very seriously. I think he got wrestled to the ground and handed into the law. The court pondered the application of preventative custody, bearing in mind the serious consequences that could have occurred had the pilot not been able to control a plane or had the ball hit the engine or propeller. The defendant's repentance and explanation that it had only been a bit of fun, as well as an absence of criminal antecedents, he had no form, were paramount for the court to release him. So there you go. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Let's look now at the Portugal news after we've seen the Portugal resident there. And what to me was the most fascinating story currently. And of course, they're ever changing. Let's see what they're saying over at the Portugal news. And we'll bring you their front page as soon as I can load it up. We went there for the landlords not being paid rent, 25% of them. According to one poll in one part of the country. And of course, rent's expected to rise 5.43% next year. That in the Portugal news. Let's have a look then at the front page of the Portugal news. What are they saying over there? Let me share that with you before we do the weather, before we go today. We're heading towards 10 o'clock. See you at 7:30 tonight with our Portuguese panel, of course. Portugal news then, unemployment rate drops. Got there in the end to 5.9%. 1 million expected at Braga's White Night. There are a lot of white night and white parties occurring as the festa season continues around Portugal. New nationality law applications skyrocket. What has risen the most in Portugal? Another of their headlines there. The unexpected summer hotspots in Portugal. That's got to be one we'll take a look at. But we've no time to do that today. Has the largest dinosaur skeleton in Europe been found in Portugal? We've covered that amply. And no, you don't need a mask and a lab coat to do such things. As well as that story about the summer of discontent in Portugal. That was in the Portugal news. Whilst the economy grows, of course, unemployment dropping? Portuguese economy growing, and yet a summer of discontent may well be felt here. With the cost of living crisis as it's affecting Portuguese people. Ronaldo won't be leaving Manchester United, apparently. So there you go. That's the Portugal news. Let's take a quick look at the weather then. Expats Portugal weather this morning. I'll bring that onto the screen as well so that you can see it. And if you want to scroll yourself to your part of the world, we won't do all the regions, but if you want to do that, I'll give you the link to do so. Let's have a look. Expats Portugal weather then. Bring it onto the screen now. A little bit of Fahrenheit action, not a lot. Certainly for Lisbon, when it bothers to load up. I will give you the link for that as well so that you can check out your own part of the country. Come on, computer. What's going on here? That's going into the chat. Now, you might want to bookmark that, as I think is a fairly good and comprehensive coverage of the weather across all of Portugal's districts and autonomous regions, but it doesn't want to load. It's just spinning like the ancient days of poor Wi-Fi connection. I don't know why that is. I might just have to give it a miss at 1 minute to 10. Make sure you join us tonight then for the Portuguese panel, our rather informal and social night, first Thursday of each month. It's a chance to chat and hang out and have a less serious and focused webinar, but I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. And it'll be a lot of fun tonight as we talk with our Portuguese panel, and they tell us, they give us a few tips on how to fit in and enjoy life in Portugal, and you'll be able to ask some questions for yourself as well. Lisbon then, 20 degrees and a few clouds at the moment, rising to a high of 25 today. In Fahrenheit, that'll be 77, 68 at the moment. Looking at the weekend, we've got a comfortable, it's not going to be exceptionally hot in the capital. In Porto, we are looking at 20 and 21 at the weekend. 19 degrees at the moment with 22 the high today. Looking a little bit cloudy around the country, isn't it? We'll rise to 28 today in the central in Coimbra, and Faro will experience 26 today with a 23 clear sky. Vista at the moment there, and 20 degrees actually in Coimbra at the moment with a clear sky too. But generally speaking, not looking like rain generally as I scroll down through the weather page. Bit cloudy in Portugal, and a comfortable weekend ahead would be my conclusion and assessment and highlight for you when it comes to all things meteorological. Last few comments then. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Like I say, there are so many things you could be doing and you're choosing to be here, so I really appreciate that. Até amanhã, Andy Portuguese. I'm going to extend that to everybody. Ciao. See you, Pete and Andy. And até tarde. See you later from Jean. That's a good thing to finish on there. And Connie saying, have a great day, as well as Pete wishing a marvellous day to at least Lord Gilchrist, and I suspect to the rest of us. He will be investigated, apparently, that young man, but for a minor crime, up to 1 year in jail. Poor lad. It's one of those things, isn't it? Thought it might be funny at the time, and it went horribly wrong. Okay. Do not worry, says João F. Finally on the Portuguese health system. Then Portuguese National Health Service cannot go worse even without a health minister. Well, there you go. You heard it from João F., who you can talk to more later on this evening. See you then. 7:30 this evening for the webinar. And tomorrow, Feel Good Friday with Jenny B. Ciao, ciao.
There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.